Good evening. It is the Earthmaster here on this Thursday night, February 16th. Already halfway through February already. That's crazy. 2023. It is about 9:02 p.m. here along the West Coast, and the latest activity on the globe shows a 2.3 in the area of Southern California. Let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here across the state. That earthquake occurring very close, if not on the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault. About 12 kilometers deep for that earthquake. Earlier this morning, we did have a little bit of swarming kicking up down here into the Brawley seismic zone around the Salton Sea area. This sits just south of the San Andreas Fault here. But it looks like that has halted. It was just a little quick activity for a few minutes or so. Looks like everything's kind of calmed down there currently. Further up north, a little bit of movement across the Ridgecrest area, and some small quakes there on the creeping segment of the San Andreas Fault. Into Northern California, of course, Clear Lake Volcanic Field continuing to show earthquake activity. It's just a consistent deal down there with the operations that are going on. A couple twos out here into the Northern California area. Looks like an 18 kilometer deep 2.1. That was followed up a little bit later by a shallower earthquake, 15 kilometers for a 2.1. This area definitely has been showing some activity here recently. And a quick glance at the tremor map. Let's see what we got for tremor. What do we got? Six epicenters. They are down, looks like, the southern end of the Cascadia. I'm really surprised that we haven't seen any further tremor down south here in Northern California. But either way, definitely some earthquake activity still at the southern end of the Cascadia megathrust zone. Up into Washington, got one earthquake near Bonnie Lake, a 1.9, 14 kilometers deep, just southeast of Tacoma. Aside from that, the Pacific Northwest looks quiet for now. Yellowstone National Park did see a little bit of activity this morning. I don't think it's kicked back up this evening. Let me see here what we got for data. Yeah, not a whole lot. Most of the activity being reported on the map was from late last night and early this morning. A couple small microquakes popping off there. But over the past few hours, things relatively quiet there at Yellowstone. Into Texas. Let's see what we got here. Looks like the last one was this morning, 5 o'clock, 1.8. We did see some activity kind of ramping up here around the Snyder area of Texas. There is some oil fields in the vicinity of this earthquake activity, which they seen a 4.7 coming in just after 2 o'clock or so this morning, followed up by numerous aftershocks. A glance at the satellite view. I don't think there's any specific pumping operations here, but there is some nearby to the west. Looks like there's some wastewater disposal facilities out there as well. But listed up here on the map, you can see it kind of named out here. Looks like the Claytonville oil fields and a couple other oil fields nearby. Rest of the country, one earthquake out here on the New Madrid seismic zone. Looks like a 2.4 from early this morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning. All right, what else we got here? The Caribbean Plate. Any further activity? Looks like we did have a couple twos kicking up here throughout the afternoon time period. That's about it. Some older activity there from yesterday or overnight, late last night. Some activity kicking up into the Atlantic Ocean as well. Looks like got a 5.3 this morning, and the most recent a 5.4 here in the central mid-Atlantic ridge. One earthquake here in the last hour in the Tanzania area. Looks like there's two of them. One this morning, and then we got a 4.3 kicking off here in this area. Up into the Turkey region. Most of the activity, at least 4.0 and above, looks like it halted here earlier this afternoon. Although a glance at the EMSC model globe here still shows quite a bit of earthquake activity, including one coming in. It looks like a 3.4 within the last few minutes in that area. And things will continue. They're definitely going to continue for a little while as far as aftershock sequences go. Not a whole lot further westward. Activity there in Romania from late last night. A couple smaller earthquakes throughout the last 24 hours in there as well. South America region, some 2s and 3s, although very spotty down here along the Peru-Chile Trench. New Zealand starting to ramp back up with earthquake activity here, including a 4.1 and some upper 4s there south of the region, south of the South Island area. Let's go ahead and see what we got down there. Of course, nothing really showing up here on the USGS map, so we will check out GeoNet. And we'll go over here real quick and see what's going on. GeoNet servers for New Zealand, 4.1. Looks like that is just off the Alpine Fault here, about 31 minutes ago. Let's see, there's that 4.1. I could have swore they had a couple upper 4s here listed on the globe. There's that 4.8 2 hours ago. So we got a 4.1, 4.8. Quite a few other smaller quakes, 2s and 1s in the magnitudes there. But I think there's a 4.6 7 hours ago too, further south along that plate boundary. Let's see what we got here for the earthquake drums. Just kind of want to view what's going on. That's going to be the one of the more recent quakes. Let's see exactly where that's at. Of course, that's going to be further down south for that 4.1. There it is showing up at the bottom of these graphs. A couple of the earthquakes being picked up. The 4.6 and the 4.8 in there as well. So we got 3 earthquakes here. 4.1 more centered towards the South Island area. The 4.6, 4.8 from earlier is a distance away from the South Island. That's why it's kind of looking like this. But these look like double earthquakes. Notice that? There's a pattern here on both of these stations. It looks kind of like it's called a double tap earthquake. There's a recent closer 4.1 there, but these are kind of interesting. Either way, shown up on the majority of the South Island stations here. For the most part, not seeing any major swarming across the area. Some smaller earthquakes up on the North Island side. Let's see what we got for the volcanoes here across the area. Looks like I'm not for sure how you pronounce this name here, but currently unrest state, alert level 1, minor volcanic unrest. That's going to be centered right about here. But far as the drums go, Taupo supervolcano looks clear. Not a whole lot of seismic activity to note here across the area on the graphs there. Alaska region looks a little bit heightened today along the Aleutian Trench with a little bit of deeper activity out here, including the 4.0, 161 kilometers deep here into the Peru, let's hope the Peru-Chile Trench ain't up here. The Aleutian Trench, there we go. So a little bit of deeper activity. Still lacking activity here along the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. Nothing. It has been a quiet giant for a little while. Around Taiwan and the Philippines area, we did see some activity last night. And this morning, quite a few 4s and some 5s out there as well. A little bit of deep and shallow movement. Some deeper activity around the East China Sea. Not a whole lot of further pressure out here along the Mariana Trench. We may want to watch that, considering all the deeper activity taking place here on the west side of this little plate. What do we got up here? Is that Croce earthquake? It is from early this morning. Doesn't look like there's some. Doesn't look like there's any other aftershock activity. Well, that's going to be this movement up here. That's where we're seeing a couple of smaller quakes. But that's about it. Not a whole lot of movement across the Mediterranean currently. The big island of Hawaii, Pretty quiet. Look at that. Only 10 earthquakes out here along the southeastern side of the Big Island. And mostly some 2s and some smaller quakes out there around the Pahala area. All right, space weather activity. We are expecting a G2 class storm kicking up here pretty soon. Good chance here of seeing it into some of the upper tier states. I'm talking about potentially Montana, maybe northern Oregon as well. We'll cover this tomorrow. I got a map I wanted to show you guys as far as the aurora forecast goes. But yeah, we could see it potentially drop down into northern Oregon and northern Nebraska and areas such as that during G2 class storms. So we'll continue to watch that. Right now, unsettled conditions, but definitely not G2 activity. This should come in late tomorrow. I know this is the UTC time, February 18th. The detailed forecast here looks like around the UTC time of 0 to 600 UTC time. Now that's going to be roughly about this time tomorrow. So it should be perfect conditions here on the for the auroras there. If you got clear skies, remember the UTC time here, 217. UTC time of 05, about 0513 right now. So 24 hours from now, 25 hours from now, give or take a couple hours, depending on when this arrives, we'll see hopefully some good auroras out there. It is a G2 class storm with a KP index up around the 6 level expected. All right, let's see what else we got. Yeah, some flaring activity ramping up. A couple long duration C flares. Now these may be some M flares on the kind of the far side sunspots. That's kind of why they look dimmer or weaker here on the graph, but they look fairly strong. I believe it's coming from this sunspot up here on the northeastern side of the sun. Gonna have to watch that one really closely. Let me see if we got the polarities up here. It's been named actually pretty quickly. They're 3229, and that is the source of some flaring. It's a major, large sunspot, but I'm not going to jinx it. Every time I say, I'm not going to say it because it's going to start behaving. It's an observer effect once again. As soon as you say something, it tends to, well, it could go either way, but this is something to watch here in the coming days. Don't want to jinx it because I would love to see a very active pattern on the Earth side of the sun. There is a little coronal hole 77 center disk here of the sun that should possibly keep the geomagnetic unrest conditions going here in the coming days as that high-speed solar wind flows from that opening. Let's see. Flare threat currently 95% chance for a C flare, M flare at 30, and 5% chance for an X flare. Lowered for now. Yeah. So, and we'll cover a little bit more tomorrow morning on the locations here of this potential solar storm. Again, I think it could be about as far down. You'd have to look on the northern horizon up in northern Oregon. But it's been known to be visible from those states up there at the higher latitudes. Alrighty, guys, I am going to jump off here. Just a real quick glance here at the weather. Just see what's going on here along the coast, west coast here of California. And we do have some cold systems coming down out of the north. Looks like right there. That's going to bring in quite a bit of cold air. And I'm very curious as to how low the snow level is going to be here with this system dropping it down out of the north. It looks like almost all of Oregon is going to be in the snow up here. And that includes areas around Eugene, Grants Pass, Klamath Falls, of course, but the valleys there of Oregon going to be getting in some, maybe Medford as well, getting in some snow. But kind of watching this here in Northern California, there's not a whole lot of moisture once that cold air reaches down here. Definitely in the mountains, maybe along the Coast Range as well. Let's see what we got after that. A little bit of moisture coming up from the south, bringing in some rainfall. And it appears as though that system's going to sit around and spin off the coast a little bit. That's good because that will bring in some further substantial moisture to the west coast, Southern California as well. And then after that, man, we just going to get slammed again, it looks like, with some heavy-duty snow. That's some impressive snowfall rates there. And then some rainfall into the valley. Southern California going to get hammered. Look at that. We'll see how this plays out. A look at the total accumulated precipitation amounts. This will tell you on an estimate how much we're expecting over the next. This only goes out 30 hours, so can't really check up on that. We'll definitely get back here tomorrow when it's updated. Alrighty, guys, have a good one. Stay safe out there. We will chat you guys a little bit later. And what do we got there? 4.2 Japan. Did that just come in? I did not see that on the USGS map here. Either way, stay safe, folks. Getting fairly active out here. And best be prepared. We'll get you guys sometime tomorrow. Have a good one.